Hey there, welcome back. Welcome to this video on pricing. And this is the second video in the pricing module. First one, if you haven't seen it yet, was all about the importance of charging for the work that you do, bringing in that income after you've created that impact in the world and how they go together. And of course, I'm speaking to the choir here. You already know that they go together, they belong together, that as you create impact in the world, you need to create income in your life. They go together so well. I keep getting the words confused. Impact and income, they belong together. And so this module is about you setting your pricing. It's about looking at your pricing. And if you haven't yet, I'm going to talk about really 5 different factors to consider when you are looking at setting up your pricing. And so the first one that I considered and I recommend you do is your geographic area. So you might hear about certain people that are making X amount of money charging for what you do or will be doing, and it just doesn't feel right. You can't imagine charging that much, or you can't imagine, why are they charging so little? Consider that they might be in a different geographic area, that there are great variations between what somebody would charge in the Midwest in the United States of America versus San Francisco, Silicon Valley, or New York, or some of the bigger places, or Australia or Great Britain. Everybody has their own geographic influences as to what you can charge. So I recommend look around. When I started my business, when I shifted from a coaching business to a primarily hypnosis business, I looked at what my competitors were charging and some of the other factors that I'm going to get into. And I would recommend that you, even when you're brand new, especially really at any time, this is what I did when I was brand new, is look at the high end of what your competitors are charging. You're going to find ridiculously low rates out there for the work that we do, the influence, the impact that we create in the world, incredibly, ridiculously low rates. And I know some of that comes from a place of service and caring, but as we talked about in the last video, you're doing a disservice to yourself and your clients. So find your competitors and charge at the high end or perhaps more, as you keep in mind these other factors. So the second factor is to remember the value that you provide in the change that you're making in your clients' lives or facilitating, helping them make. Touched on this a little bit in the last video, that when you look at the influence, the impact that you'll create in your clients' lives, how can you put a price on that? This is actually part of your sales conversation, your scheduling conversation, that you want as you talk about the change that your client is looking to make. Get them to see, to feel, to experience themselves making that change, and then ask them, what's it going to be worth to you in your life to make this change, to release that habit, to step into that better life? And they'll describe different things. If they don't go to it, ask them, monetarily, how can they, what would they put on a value of that? And often they'll struggle with it because, again, like we touched on in the last video, how can you put a price on giving somebody more years to their life, more life in their years? And so keep that in mind as you set your pricing. Keep in mind those conversations. And as you lay out the impact of the change in your scheduling, your sales conversations, you're laying the groundwork for them to accept a payment structure that may be beyond what you originally thought. So the next factor to consider when setting your pricing is, what do you need to make to support yourself and your business now and in the future? Now, you may be getting into this as a side hustle, as part-time. And so perhaps your inclination is to think, well, it's not my full-time business. I don't need to charge as much. And I understand that, but keep in mind, like we touched on in the last video, that what you ask for as an exchange, a payment of energy, what you charge creates an expectation in the level of your expertise, the expectation in your client's mind as to whether or not they're likely to change. So even if you're doing it part-time, price your services as if you're doing this full time, as if you needed to pay for health insurance and business insurance and liability insurance and the office you have now and a bigger office and the training that you've already done and future training and your retirement years. Consider all the things that would go into creating a lifestyle that supports you now and in the future, and price your services according to that. So that's the third factor. The fourth factor, I like to price my programs, my services, so that for the majority of my clients, and if you haven't already, part of the process of growing your and building out your business is getting clear about who your ideal clients are. It's pricing them so that it's uncomfortably affordable. You want your clients to stretch. You want it to be a stretch. You want there to be an investment, not only in their time and effort, but how that ties into their financial investment. So I'll tell my clients that I price things so that it is uncomfortably affordable. Again, I'm in the Midwest of the United States. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, just north of Chicago, and I charge $4.95 to come see me. That includes for smoking 2 sessions. For anything else, it's $4.95 a month. We'll talk a little bit more about programs in a minute. But for the majority of people, that's a bit uncomfortable. But if it's important, it's affordable. The other thing to consider when you're setting your pricing as uncomfortably affordable for your clients is to know that for a large amount of the population, the people who will contact you, it's too uncomfortable, it's unaffordable. And for a large portion, it will be way too comfortable and not enough. So there's that sweet spot in the middle that only you can decide. But as we talked about a moment ago, set it more on the high end for all these other reasons. And then the last factor or thing to consider is programs. I mentioned briefly that look at pricing the work that you do based on the change they're making, not on your time, not on the number of sessions. Clients are going to ask you, they're going to want to know how long, how much, and how long. How much is this going to cost and how long is it going to take? And if we're honest, we got to tell them it's a bit of an unknown. We can tell them that our experience has been, and if you're new to this, you can share the experience of myself and the others in the group, that the type of change that you're looking to make is probably going to take X amount of time. Some of the things that I tell my clients to quit smoking, you'll leave the first session a non-smoker, and I recommend that we do a follow-up to clear up any issues, challenges that happen between then and our next session, and I'll word it a little bit differently. But in general, smoking is 1, 2, maybe 3 sessions. Weight loss is months. That's going to be 6, 8, 12, 24 sessions, and that's why I go with a $4.95 a month. We'll start out with 4 in a row. The next month we may go to 2 or 3, and then we fade off. You've got to come up with a price where in your mind, you know how many sessions you're willing to do, but keep it somewhat open. You don't want to put yourself in a corner and narrow what you're able to do for your clients. Come up with pricing and then programs that are related to the change that they desire. Your clients are going to understand that as powerful, as wonderful as hypnosis is, this issue, this challenge, this habit that they've had for probably a long time, 5, 10, 40 years, might not, and that's why sometimes the 1 or 2 session fear, phobia, habit, nail biting, smoking, it's hard for them to understand how I could change it so quickly. That most clients expect that it's going to take weeks or months to make this change. So price your services accordingly. Find a way to incorporate programs. So again, in general, my smoking are 2 to 3 sessions. My weight loss is 6 to 12. My anxiety is going to be 4 to 8. And I tell clients, we'll review, let's start out with the intention of $4.95 a month for 3 months, and then we'll reevaluate, or $4.95 a month for 2 months, and then we'll reevaluate. You decide what the price is, how many sessions that's included. The focus isn't on the number of sessions or the price. The focus on your conversation with your client is the change that they desire, their commitment to see you, to work through it, to listen to the audios, to do the self-care techniques that you share with them and that you teach them. And that sense of confidence in yourself and your expectation that there's nothing outside of themselves that can prevent them from making this change. They have within them all that they need to get from where they are to where they want to be. So I hope that helps. The final thing to keep in mind is that you are the expert, and that you might get, and it's very rare unless they view that it's really unaffordable for them, you might get a little bit of a pushback on your price. But when you establish yourself that I'm the expert, I've been doing this for a while, and even if you haven't been doing it for a while, that you understand the process, the way our brain works, the way we're designed to grow and change more than they do, that you're the expert, that this is how long it's probably going to take. Everybody, what I'll tell my clients is, of course, it's a bit of a mystery. Everybody's past, present, and future is unique to them, their current environment, their past environment, their future environment. My experience is that the type of change you're looking to make, we're probably going to want to work together X amount of months, X amount of weeks. And they'll accept it because you are the expert. And then what I always have in my mind as a fallback, I don't talk about this, I don't publicize it, but I'll offer a refund. Worst case scenario is if somebody really feels like they didn't get value from the time that they were working with you, give them their money back. If you ever get a complaint, a challenge, you can always refund their money. You've done your best. Most clients, and again, I'm like nobody, I'm no different than anybody else in this business. Not everybody that's seen me has achieved the change they desired. Yet the far majority are happy with the time that we spent together, happy that they've come to see me, happy with the work that we've done together. And if the change hasn't occurred, they don't put it on me. In fact, in the time that nearly 10 years I've been doing this, I've never had somebody ask for a refund. But it's in my mind, if it happened, if somebody was not happy, I'd refund their money. And so know that no matter what you charge, that's always an option too. So we've covered a lot, the 5 different factors. Review, feel free to reach out, email me, ask others in the group if you're unsure about pricing, where to set it. Again, you want to set your pricing and your programs at a level that is sustainable, that feels right in your heart. When I mentioned geographic area, that's just for a bit of input. It's got to feel right for you. Don't worry how much more you are than anybody else in your area or anybody in a different area. It's got to feel right in your heart that it's a combination of it supports you now. It's a valuable exchange for the impact that you're creating in their life, and that it's sustainable, that you can keep doing this, that you can continue to create impact while you create income. Thanks. I'll see you in the next video.